It's Billy. Right now. Yo, what if I got attacked by the clones? What if the builder think they found a better stone? What if the beat don't match with the metronome? What if that means you walk your path alone? Call me a vagabond. If all these streets leading to Rome, then wherever I lay is my home. It's Brooklyn, boy strong. I manifest, I'm in the zone. Y'all silly better back up off my throne. Listen, boy nice, better give him his propers. How we come out sane from all the mosh pits. How we found the key to the game without a locksmith. How we seem to manage these lanes is so obnoxious. He let it flow from the brain, trusting the process. A vet journeyman on multiple rosters. If I want it, I go out and get it and cop it. A monster with limitless options. Man, like goddamn, y'all gon' soon figure out who I am. We stay cooking, y'all used to that span. Western beef, I might square up at the square dance. Look, I change plans, not even a southpaw, I'm an outlaw with a rare stance. Your crew never had a fair chance.
Why's that?
I kill a whole bear with my bare hands. Oh, they studied the dark? Well, I was raised in it. Brain shifted, the kid displayed insane physics. Best story never told, and it ain't finished. How we handled the rock, spun and kept the same pivot. I frame different, hot like a flame kitchen. A whole 2 levels out of your range gifted. Catch me on the highway, lane switching. Or right at the top of your bay wish list. It's Billy. Right now. It's Billy. What up, what up, what up? It's Billy, this is how Billy sees it. Today is June 19th, Juneteenth, 2023. It's another Monday, and so it's another show, and how Billy sees it, and we're doing great. It's June, it's hot. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's with loved ones and experiencing these moments. I got a good one today. This dude that I've connected with on Facebook and seen some of his art, some of his thoughts and ideas and projects and things he's working on, and I've wanted to have a conversation with him. So it's been dope to kind of look into some of his stuff, and I'm interested to learn more about him together. And his name's on the bottom, Carr already, but we're gonna switch over. His name is Christoph. Christopher Carr, what up?
What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Thanks for bringing me on. I'm excited, looking forward to this.
Me too, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, you're an artist, you're a creator, you do a lot of stuff. Am I right?
I try to stay busy. I was one of those young people that had a lot of questions, a lot of energy. And as I've gotten older, I've been lucky to be around a lot of people that are inspiring and that keep showing me elements of the world that are like, whoa, we could go deeper. Like, whoa, there's more out here. Whoa.
More out here, man. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
super key. I could see that. I could see your thinking. I mean, that's I want to get into all of that, but I notice a dude who has a lot on his mind. I notice a dude who wants to spread love and is like active, and you're like, I think there's like a lot of courage shown because you're vulnerable. You show the process. You show, how you're going through things. And so if we jump right into like one of the projects I know you're doing, this Black Land Ownership project, can you tell me what brought you to that? What brought you to Black Land Ownership? There we go.
Yeah. A convergence of a couple things. One, I've seen so many of my folks in the Black community arguing with each other, whether it was about reproduction rights, whether it was how do we manage over policing, do we abolish the police, do we defund the police. There's some folks in my family that like look at young people like, y'all are crazy talking about defunding the police. Y'all need the police. And if it's economics, you have some people that are like, no, money will save us as a Black community. And you have other people that are like, yo, burn the whole system. And there are all these issues that are important, charter schools, public schools, homeschooling, where people end up arguing with each other. And I was sitting there, I wrote out as many concepts and topics and things that I saw in the political realm that people were arguing about, and tried to say, which one can I depoliticize? Which one can I say no one can really argue about? And around that same time, I was traveling and going out to Colorado. And I was working my homegirl's farm. I set up some house shows where I was only performing for like 5 or 8 people, but it was really engaging. I was able to like share my work in a different way and still made more money than I had like doing other tours in the past.
Mm.
And I was out there hiking, and I was like, I looked at my homegirl, I was like, so beautiful. Who owns all this? Like for real. Like it's not just like the Midwest where I've been, or like the South where you might have a forest or you have like cornfields. This was miles and miles of open range, mountain in the valleys, and you can grow stuff. Like I thought Colorado cold. It was the same temperature as New York State was at the time. I was there in November,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was like, "Who owns it?" She was like, "Well, that's BLM." And I'm like, "Black Lives Matter does not own all this land." She's like, "No, Bureau of Land Management." And I'm like, "What's that?"
Mm.
She's like, "Oh, it's part of the Department of Interior." Well, what's that? I grew up in D.C.
Mm.
I moved to Atlanta, and then I moved to New York. I don't know about Western expansion, what you do with land that ranch people have, 3,000 acres, all that stuff. And so she's like, yeah, all this stuff is owned. I'm like, wait, someone owns that mountain? And she's like, yes, all this land is privately owned. And I'm like, for what? They're not doing anything with it.
Mm.
And she's looking at me like, well, A, they are. They let cattle graze and they get tax benefits. The government does this with it, yada, yada. But B, yeah, there's a whole lot of land people own and no one's doing anything with it. And so I came back and just started researching the history of land ownership, the imbalance. I'm like, yo, there are no black people out here. This wasn't a slave state.
Right.
How come there's all this open space and we have no part of it? And when I got back, I was also looking at my notebook, and it hit me like, people can't argue with me about black land ownership. That's not Democrat. That's not Republican. That's not capitalism. That's not communism. That's not old people. That's not young people. That's not queer people. That's not anti-queer. It's if we start with black land ownership, it opens up the conversation of, well, what happened if you were a woman in 1920 and wanted to try to buy land? How did inheritances work, between different cultures? It opens up what happened to the native people here. Like, hold on, who established land ownership in this country and who they get it from?
And the terms of it and all that.
And so even though it started with black land ownership, it's really a mission of solidarity and to understand autonomy, freedom, safety, and the natural world. I'm glad I've lived in cities. I've enjoyed the benefits of them. But I think at times I would have benefited from more time with my feet in the dirt, my hands in the soil, learning how to grow food if I need to, learning how to communicate in a way that's outside of the social media environment, outside of the heavy inundation of other forms of media, whether it's newspaper, television.
Big time. You know what I love about that too is just I'm hearing straight away a kind of a love, right? For you to love to me implies like a need to kind of go further and learn more. So you have this a world that we all experience that is like what we had as a child, and our relationships and our sense of what is, and then you went out there and you learned something or you experienced something that propelled you and you started asking questions that it sounds like I can imagine it's probably this crazy story and it's an ongoing story, but I imagine it really took you to some deep places to have to like ask questions about yourself and your role in the world and what your purpose is and how you want, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a big project from what I'm seeing on your website and the collaboration that you're doing. I want to get more into it, but it's impressive that you even took yourself to attempt. Sometimes we limit our attempts, you feel me?
I think there are two elements of it. I was at an age where I was ready for the inspiration to hit.
Mm.
I was interested in looking at more. I've been in New York doing shows since about 2008. Before that, I was doing shows in DC. Me and my homies started doing stuff in college, like around 2000. DJ Drama went to Clark during the same time I was at Morehouse. He DJ'd our first mixtape. And so at different times, I looked at industry stuff. My roommate from college produced for Outkast and Killer Mike. And I realized that was never going to be my lane. Then moved back to DC, or moved to New York for 2 years, then back to DC, and started doing indie. Like, okay, there's a space for this, but there actually wasn't. They wouldn't let us do our shows at the rock clubs. They didn't let us do rap, and at the rap clubs, we didn't bring up the top shelf, sell out Hennessy,
Okay.
money in the air. We did like indie. I love it, but it's not very viable economically, and so there was always a space problem. Then I moved back to New York like 2008. My homie had a loft. We threw shows in the crib, and it was like, this works. And for the next 5 to 8 years, we threw as many shows as we could in as many basements, living rooms, rooftops, illegal spaces, whatever you want to call it.
Get it.
And things started changing. And all of a sudden, the neighbors are complaining. The landlords are actually threatening to kick us out. The police are actually showing up and trying to shut it down. And now we're back into a space problem. So then we start renting actual venues. And so my partner and I start running a space. And like, well, now no one can shut us down. We're the promoter. We're the booker. We're the owner of the space. No. The owner of that building, if they don't like what you do, you sign a 3-year lease. They let you rock for about 2 months. And then they say, we don't like what you're doing. You keep doing what you're doing. We're going to call the fire department when you get your doors locked. But then how are we going to pay your lease? It don't matter. You still got to pay it. And so by the time I went to Colorado, it had been all those years of people keep saying no. We don't like how black you're talking. We don't like how queer some of your friends are. We don't like how loud some of your homies are. You call out the corporations that pay our bills.
Right.
And so by the time I got to Colorado, it wasn't an uphill battle with myself. It was like hold on, dog. We fighting. I got friends paying $2,500 for a 1.5 bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, getting threatened with eviction, and look at all this space. And so when I came back, I was like, Black land ownership. And I looked it up, like, we shouldn't be able to get that website. What? It's available? Get it. We shouldn't be able to, what? It's available? Get it. And I researched that. Also, there could be people doing it already where I'd be more of support. But when I looked, you had affordable housing, you had programs that I think attach blackness to poverty. And I understand why you want to focus on a disproportionate imbalance financially that the black community faces when it comes to property ownership and average income and all those things. But there are black people with money who still aren't living in certain neighborhoods, who still aren't being given certain loans, who still aren't being told there's a world available to them. And so we wanted to focus on black land. Like, you may start a farm, you may put up a warehouse, you may have a conservation space. We're not trying to tell you be farmers. We're not trying to tell you be business people. We're not trying to, but get the land, learn what it takes to get the land. And then we get to decide, what do the police do in our community? When you own 300 acres, the police can't come nowhere close to you.
See, this is an interesting thing. So I again, as I was reading through your journey, I was like, okay, this dude is out here, it's some serious stuff, and obviously there's philosophy behind it. You know what I mean? Like, in order to approach what you're approaching, I love how you're breaking it down. I know this is a summary you've given us about how the things you went through that brought us to this place, but like, what I love. So then I started to think about like your Facebook and like your posts, and like, you're talking about community. You're talking about what it looks like to build a good community, a communal space, and how to use that land, and all the possibilities. And you have a democratic sense about it, right? But you also have values about inclusivity. Tell me about that. Because even on your I'm sorry, I'll let you think, but even like on your, there was something about black land ownership and people wondering, can people not black be it, and things like this. Yeah. And I thought you handled that really well. So
yeah, so I think one element is the reality of I'm fascinated with humanity. As a black man, though, I have lived a black experience. I grew up in a black neighborhood, went to black churches, but then I went to all-white private school for certain parts of my life. Then I went to Morehouse for undergrad. So it's all black people in Atlanta, 96 to 2001. So I was at Freaknik. I went down to Memorial Day Beach weekend in Miami. We went out to New Orleans.
I saw you in that documentary. I thought I saw you, Chris. No, I'm just playing.
No, because if you did, it was a problem. I always kept it safe and but we was out there. It was college.
I love that you paused because I'm fucking around and you were like,
I got some fun pictures, but so I think I loved going to see how people gather, how they share those experiences where you laugh, you dance, you sweat, you cry, you jump around, you meet new people. And so with our land idea, it wasn't a thing where we wanted to dictate what it was going to be. We wanted the resources to inform us. So when we first started looking, people were like, you should do this. And it was like, well, wait, what's available to us? Why don't we wait till we see what nature has to offer us and not look at it like we need to go put a square peg into a circular hole? Like, nah, wait till it comes in a certain way. Then once we found the conservation land, it was like, okay, how do we make this as accessible as possible to people? So some of my homies who aren't used to camping, how do we do introductory workshops so that they at least know how to work with their tent, start their fire, make sure they have all the equipment? For people that have been before, how do we give them a chance to educate other people? How do we take small groups out, do photos and videos? So when I tell my homie, I'm like, no, look, yo, there are no bears. Like, it's safe. And when people are like, yo, I'm not going to the woods, it's crazy white people, it's like, no, this is our land. Like no one comes on the land. It's 15 acres. So once you're on our property, we're good. And we purposely waited to find a town and a location that was celebratory of what we're doing with Black land ownership. And I love rock. I do love rock music, hip hop, gospel, jazz, blues, techno, minimal tech. Like it's all human expression to me. And as a Black man and in a family run by Black women, any type of limiting of the human potential like bothers me. Like it really is like, if we are born ways we have no control over, we develop and evolve due to environment in ways that at a certain point really we don't have much control over.
Right.
It would be horrible for me to look at a person and be like, because of how you were born, I'm not effing with you. And it takes a lot of work then of including other people in the organizational part. As a man, I am missing perspective that some of my non-men friends have. I can't guess. I can't project or prognosticate. I need to have women involved. I need to have trans folks involved. I need to have non-binary folks involved when we're making decisions so that everyone can exchange and feel the love. And to me, there's no conflict. Like people say Black land ownership, well, what about the natives? Did you just start by like, we're in conflict?
Right.
Black land ownership opens up the what happened to the homies that was already here. Maybe I start with not all the Africans came as slaves, and maybe we were here with natives before Columbus did anything. So when we're talking about Black and native, I can respect there are native groups that probably had no African lineage in terms of near history. But it looks like there have been some groups that may have been communicating for a long time. So we're not at odds. So when people are like, oh, but the queer community agenda and the Black agenda or the this agenda, in the Black world I grew up in, there have always been queer people, there have been trans people, where they allowed to celebrate the way that I was allowed to celebrate. Then when I leave my community, there was white cats with purple hair and doing all types of, I allowed to celebrate the way they could celebrate. So like, why would I want to limit the celebration? We gotta, you know?
Exactly. I love that you start from that place, man. I think that's a strong place to start. It's actually what is, right? Dealing with the fact that these, you know, we're dealing with words at the end of the day. Some of these, you know, and we label and we come up with these assessments, and in fact, we're all something much more complex. And it's just like I said one time on your post, you inspired like a whole video actually of mine, like talking about intersectionality and the need to think of ourselves this way. I find that there's our culture, our capitalist culture, thrives on the notion that we're separate and different, and that it needs to use these things as points for profit and for the conflict that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate in the marketplace idea. Something unique to capitalism is that labor becomes a marketplace. We've had to work, like to stay alive, you had to do stuff. I mean, just to have the energy to breathe, you have to do things. But once labor and your skills become another product to be exchanged, the people start becoming quantified. Once we quantify a person, how do we establish value? And we may use different modes or methods of establishing that. It's, well, how nice are you to other people? Or how much money do you make? Or how well do you dress? Or da-da-da. But we then start limiting that into like flag posts or like these signposts of what's the thing that matters most. So you feel this way about abortion? I know how to categorize your whole being. Oh, you're a Black man from this time period? I know how to categorize your whole being. Oh, you're a white man that works at this company and made this amount of money? I know how to categorize your being. And it's shorthand. It's
yes.
Instead of just saying all cops are bastards, and actually let's talk through that. You really think all of them are bastards? Oh, ACAB, and we keep it moving.
Correct. And this is a big thing, man, I want to hear about, because I think just coming from the corporate media space, which is sort of my work history in the past couple of years, has been to see how they reduce, it's valuable to reduce complex phenomena to simple words, digestible bites, words that they assume the audience can attach to quickly, to get on the TikTok and all that. And I just think it's not possible to have meaningful exchanges, to really be interested in each other when we sum things up this way. Whether it's, these slogans help us to say something. Sometimes you want to make a loud, direct statement, but then we need to be interested in actually parsing out truthfully what the problem is, because you can miss the problem. You out here saying slogans. Go ahead.
No, the amount of time it takes to excavate an idea has accelerated. Like, part of what's dope is I can get information at a click. At a certain point, though, when I wanted to know something and no one else around knew it, I then had to search for it. During that search, though, time is happening and my thoughts are evolving over time as I'm having experiences before I get my information. Then let's say I run into you and I'm like, yo, Billy, I heard about yada yada. Like, I was younger. I'm like, yo, what's up with the Nephilim and the Anunnaki? I don't understand. Like, men with the gods and the what? And you're like, yo, well, my homie said this. But then we got to wait for your homie to be around. That might take 3 days.
Right.
Then your homie's like, yo, check out this book, but I'm going to have to go get it from my cousin. That takes another week.
Right.
So now we got a week and a half of me sitting around like, do I really believe in the thing? Do I trust the Bible? Did my homie Billy actually read the thing? Did he just tell me? And it actually lets the thing sit in. But like right now, I can go look on Wikipedia and be like, oh, let me tell you about the Anunnaki. And I can give you a 5-page paper.
Right.
I don't know nothing about it.
Exactly. And more, it's like, even with like AI now, it's you get these answers that people, it's just, we always need to have I've been playing with this thing that we need to have a bit of humility always in terms of our perception of something. We need to always, we can assert, we can go after something, we can be focused and have a goal, but that there always needs to be a sense that there's something more that we don't know, and then that gives us a better look at things. And that's why I think it's brilliant what you're doing and some of the stuff I'm attempting, and I'm so blessed to be meeting interesting, active motherfuckers doing stuff, because there's a difference between reality and theory, right? Can you tell me about that? Because you've actually gone from a theory and then you start to put into application this thing that you're doing with land ownership, and it's changed, hasn't you? It's changed
Yes.
Give me a sec, I'm gonna work on my legs, but go ahead.
Hey, I may move around where I get a bit more light. I think I'm in a nice space in terms of age and experience in that I had to go find certain things like in real life. Like when I wanted to get into tattooing or I wanted to learn more about tattooing, I had to go be around people and I had to deal with if they were jerks or not, or I had to learn how to adjust my behavior to get along with people or what have you. And the theory and the practice aren't inherently dichotomous or partitioned or it's one or the other. But by the time you learn something and then start putting it into effect, the thing has possibly changed. You might have changed. The other elements that influence it and variables may have changed. And there's no better thing to me than put your hand in the dirt and start. When Melissa and I started our magazine, we were talking and she's like, well, what if we do this? What if we do that? And how do we? And I was like, let's just do it. She's like, what do you mean just do it? I was like, that's how everything has worked so far. If we love it enough, we'll figure it out. But I spent too much time reading about humanity, dynamics, history, and what should be from people that sat in buildings away from people. And I always felt pulled. Like, I like the idea of, would you want to be the priest or the monk? And the priest is out with the people, but it has to spread the gospel. So you have to uphold what the institution's saying. Or do you want to be the monk and say, I don't have to uphold anything. I just study. I seek truth. And I found myself into like, I want to be around the people like the priest, but I can't support the institution. I need to be just trying to learn the truth like the monk. So where can you put that together? And to me, that's like when you're out with people, but you have that humility to recognize that you're learning from the people. You're not actually guiding them. They're guiding you. And I think that's what excites me is I'm constantly learning, whether it's from my partner, Melissa, whether from her friends, my friends, random people we meet in the corner store. People hit me with jewels all the time where all I got to do is shut up, maybe do a little plotting, like let them know like, no, you can do it with me. It's good. It's good.
That's right.
And then people are like, take this information.
Big time, man. I feel like one of our problems in this moment is just communication skills. We aren't the skill and even the yearning for it, the desire to listen, to truly listen, to be in true communion with another person. Our quick transactional sort of arrangements don't give us this time to sit and see. And again, if I want, I could sum you up as a black man. You know, as a black man from Brooklyn, as if I know you, and you can do the same to me, and people are doing that. And so the challenge, and it's, you know, and this is squarely as you go on doing this work, you know, you're dealing with like, how do we get past that? How do we get past these? I don't know, this feature of the human experience where we don't experience ourselves fully. And I think, to me, the word is love. You know, I have a word that is kind of hard to explain. I've devoted some time to trying to get into that. But like, what do you think about love?
I'm in total agreement with you. I think, spent a lot of time fighting internally. Like, I'm a pacifist. Like, in life, one of my whole things is I should have mind control like Debo with like Jedi telekinesis, where I'm out before the beef starts. Like, I already read the signs. I already see who's doing what. Woo! And I like being in the spot. I like being in the places where people are like, yo, you might not want to be there. And it's like, no, I'll be good. But part of that is because time to go.
You got the antenna, yeah.
I'm out, but I think in doing some of the art I made, it was fighting a system. It was fighting authority. It was fighting oppression. It was fighting mistreatment of certain folks. Once it turned into, I love the homies. And that's just really what it's about. Like, I love community we in. I love the planet, the universe, myself, my family. And no matter how difficult people are acting, no matter how out of pocket people are getting, it can't be about the fight. Like there's a quote from, I think, this book that's out by the door, where he's like, for what we want to do, it's going to take more than hate. Hate won't carry you far enough. And that's become the reality. That hate energy goes but so far. Can you beat a person into love? No.
Can't.
And what we need is more love. So the everyone walking around with no eyes because we did the eye for an eye thing is happening. We're in that part of society now.
Yeah.
Where so many people are hurt, yet still afraid to love. And so I'm interested in the, let me try it. Let me try.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too, man. And it's really been, you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because you look around and there's things that piss you off, you know. And I love, like I said, you post about love, you post about land ownership, you post about your trials and challenges, but you also get pissed off sometimes. You also point out things that are bothering you, and you know, I'm trying to envision a space where we allow for that. We allow ourselves to be imperfect, you know? I spent a lot of time as a black man, maybe I'd love to hear your story about this, feeling that, you know, I was raised on the idea that we got to work 3 times harder than the white man to do, you know? And you know what I did? I was like, okay, I could do that, you know? And I started to try to, I had this conception of what fucking perfect is. And let me do that. Let me work really hard to be that. And what that means is a lot of observing the room and trying to fit into things, you know. And at some point, and I guess there's some value and benefit to being able to do that, but there's also, you lose something. I think you lose some of the intuition if you're not careful, you know, if you're too involved in that project of fitting into the perception, you know.
You've tapped into something that I can't fully articulate or explain, but I've been thinking a lot about, and this sense of what is freedom or autonomy for a black man. When I grew up, it was a given. You have to watch how you behave because people will think you're stealing. Like one of my homies, Wade Wilson, he was talking to me yesterday, and he's like, yo, when you used to go in the stores, did your like folks like trip on you, like don't take any bags already, or like don't take stuff with you when you go in places? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yo, some of my friends who are black don't understand, and they be putting me in situations where like I'm not really comfortable. And I started thinking about how many things when I was younger were told to me that it was an assumed, you're going to be viewed as a threat, so do this to disarm people. You're going to be assumed to not be trustworthy, so actually you have to never put yourself in this scenario. It's going to be assumed that if you're in a room with so-and-so and a bag goes missing, you're the only black person, they come into you first. So make sure you're known for never ever stealing. If anything ever comes up missing, you're the person that makes sure you help them find it. And I started thinking of all these prerequisites to just being a person.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a burden. I feel
Yeah, and I don't have an answer. Because on the other hand, like you said, it does teach something. And I don't know yet how to categorize or put on the board the human trauma experience. It seems like things now that are called trauma were regular black people shit when I was growing up.
Right.
And things that we knew weren't right. It was still like, but that's Uncle so-and-so, that's Grandpa so-and-so, made it. The survivor element was so real that what's past surviving, what's living in fullness, what's this concept of like not Maslow because there's some issues with that, but this self-actualization.
Yes.
My mom is confused by this idea of seeking internally to find something existential. To her, it's if you figure out a way to take care of your family, not violate your moral code, be a part of your church community, get your house, be financially responsible, help other people in community, that should make you happy. Like you have a good job.
Right.
And I was like, I have no faith in the job thing you're talking about. I haven't found a job yet where my bosses aren't unscrupulous. I haven't found a profession yet where I can look at it and morally say, this is how I can devote 12 hours to this, to go hard and do it, or 8 hours a day to do it.
Right.
And for her, she was like, no, but I believed in my job. And I'm like, see, that's so finding where I am now and saying I am a responsible person. I am doing things to contribute, but it doesn't look like what my mom did, what my grandparents did.
No.
And I'm 45. It's taken a long time to settle in. And when people come at me, to look at them and be like, I'm not mad. I'm not fighting you. I'm not arguing. I'm letting you know, like, I have a real job.
Yeah.
I care a lot about what I do. I put my heart into it. And if, after going through that cancer stuff, I thought about what happened if I died in a week. What would I tell myself? Did I believe in what I was doing while I was alive? And I had to say yes. Now I'm not ready. I'm not done. Like I realized, like, oh, we're not finished, dog. Like, any of the 45-year-olds, 40-year-olds who were like, oh, my life. No. There's so much time.
Yeah, man.
But I also did have enough time to sit and be like, did I really just stick? No, I didn't just stick around. Did I just Nah. Actually, me and my homies made ill. Like, it gets me like goosebumps thinking about all the people I met and all the ill stuff. What?
Yeah.
You
know what's crazy, man, is you're talking, I'm hearing all kinds of things as you speak, and one of them is the power of like being present too, because you're saying, I try to use time as like a thing, I try to make it work for me. So when I need urgency, I remind myself of how little time we have. You know what I'm saying? So your experience with cancer, it sounds like it had that kind of thing. I remind myself of the value, the preciousness of this fucking second right now. I want to be doing shit that I want to do, and I need to do it. I need to manifest something, and if I don't, I got to say yes. And then other times, I'm the type of person, I wound myself up so heavy with that, though, that I also, man, I carried a lot of weight on me. Like, I felt like I had to do difficult shit all the time. And so now I found like a peaceful place where I use it, and then sometimes I go, oh no, but I have all the time in the world, and I'm married to this amazing woman, and oh my gosh, look, let me just chill. So it sounds like you go through these same kind of mental games to
Yeah, I mean, and finding the equilibrium in the sense of some things are important for the now. Like, there are things to me that I don't want to be doing certain things the same way 3, 4, 5 years from now. There are other things when people ask, I immediately now have no pressure of trying to give them some goal or come up with some fabricated quantitative measurement for them in the moment. I look at it like, I don't know. I'll let it develop. And I was just writing about like every second, every like moment I have is literally an extension of a wish, a prayer, a blessing.
Yes.
So that it's infinite. Like, I have so much time so that if I lay in the grass and I'm listening to the birds and my phone rings, I let it go. There's no reason for me to be anxious other than I need to make sure my mom's okay.
Right.
But anything else, that business, that thing, I'm out here with the birds. This time is important.
I love it.
And then other times where it's like, oh, y'all want to play around? I don't got time to waste, bro. You know what these doctors were telling me like 2 years ago? Yeah. You're here talking yakety yak about what? No, let's get it popping.
Right.
But it's finding it to where it doesn't cause the anxiety, it doesn't cause the stress, it doesn't cause the self-imposed scrutiny. I'm very I wouldn't say self-effacing. Like, I'd like to think I have a positive overall view of myself, but part of how I grew up learning how to do things was, oh, you messing up, and we'll be clear about that. We'll let you know when you're messing up, and we expect you to not mess up. And it's like, why do you expect me to be perfect? Not perfect, but unless you're trying your hardest, you don't get no excuse. And it's like, but y'all are making stuff I don't want to do. Why would I try the hardest? You're not hearing that. Let's go.
See that's been my mindset for such a long time. My childhood was a lot of that. Like, you didn't, and again, you gotta like admit that that's a part of you and it brought you here, and so there's something beautiful about that. But it's also a source of anxiety. So were you an anxious kid? And also I want to shout my wife's on the comments here. She's saying yes to learning and trying. She gives us a champagne glass. She says, now we have more language and context for our experiences. I think that speaks to like the generational gap too. They have a different perspective, a different experience, and like, ours is different. And then my boy D says, yo. But yeah, were you an anxious kid growing up?
I probably went through phases. I wouldn't say anxious in the sense of having anxiety attack or panic attacks. I was one of those kids in 4th grade worried the world was going to blow up due to nuclear proliferation. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but to me, as soon as I heard people develop weapons that can destroy the whole world, and instead of talking about how to get rid of them, they made more of them to try to scare the other one out of it. And the idea of mutually assured destruction was like a strategy.
Yep.
That made me question so much about just humanity. Yeah. And like, why are these people in office? Who elects these people?
Correct.
And so I think stuff like that, actually, my mom was worried because like I was talking to her about stuff and she's like, yo, you're in 4th grade. And why are you like, go play outside and be happy? And I'm like, how can I be happy when these people are trying to destroy the world? Yeah. Or like, I had a sympathy, I think, empathy towards people where it like bothered me when I saw people mistreat other people or animals. And so like, I had a lot of like, yo, why is the world like this? Like, it wasn't like anxiety. It was more like, could be confused as depression, but more like, I think I was reflecting the energy of a crazy ass world around me. And my parents, my grandparents were old Black people who had gone through worse. So they're sitting there like, dog, this is what we do. Like, you be all right. And I just have a natural difference from them in a way where just a little bit more of I take in and I feel affects me emotionally.
I get that from you. I understand. I see you on that because I know that feeling. So like, so there's a difference with the parents, and then how about with your peers and people of your age group? Who do they see things? Do they ask these kinds of questions? I've always been that person, like, asking whether it's nuclear proliferation or just broader political issues, the way we talk and treat women, the way we critique boys for being and label them for being what they are, if they are, let's say, effeminate, or vice versa, a girl if she's masculine in some way, and we critique that. So I saw that, and other people didn't really see that. Did you experience that?
I think at different times in my life, the school I went to encouraged academic perspective shift and like ideological variegation. So they wanted you to learn what is capitalism from the point of view of capitalists, communist, socialist, and non-government formation type of people. And then you draw your own conclusion, like be a critical thinker, get as much information as possible, and then learn how to filter through it. There are also then a certain amount of conservatism to that though, because it was a private school that's religiously based and predominantly white. In my neighborhood, all Black, my mom was the type of person that was like, love is love, be whoever you want. But when I painted my fingernails Black, she kind of looked funny, like, oh, that's what white folks do. When I painted them pink, and I'm like 20 something years old, 28 or something, basically about to live with my girlfriend at the time. She's like, look, I'm not saying anything, but the Black fingernail polish, I guess, punk music. But the only time I've seen people do pink or red is if they're like cross-dressing or they're gay. But she didn't say nothing after that. So I look around and I'm like, are you asking me if I'm gay or what's happening? Like, what?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just her confused by this expression of individuality. And so I think in my family, there still was children should behave a certain way. You're supposed to dress a certain way. My hair was always a problem. Me speaking out against authority was always a problem. But my mom was smart in that she encouraged me to be around a lot of different thinkers. So I'd end up being around family friends that talked high level theology and were very into the Bible, but were accepting of my questions. And then we're like, well, then read this different Bible. Or if you want to understand that concept, read the book of Tao. Or like, they supported it. And I think I had that weave. When I was at Morehouse, there were people who were very staunch, conservative, old Black people with very restrictive notions of maleness, sexuality, even like you have heterosexual sex. It was a religious, like, no, like the human body's nasty. You can die if you have sex. Then I was around people that were like, okay, let me explain. People since the dawn of time have been doing this. It's all love.
Yeah.
Be safe. Consent is important. And so I've been lucky that like my homegirls pulled me aside and were like, yo, you sound crazy right now. When I was 21. And we're like, let me explain how we're feeling when y'all sound that crazy in a room full of guys. So by 25, when they say it again, I'm finally like, oh, wait, yo, it is kind of ignorant when we say, okay. By 28, 30, I'm in a venue and I introduced my friend and I misgendered him. And I'd known the person 4 years and my other homie comes up, why you keep doing that? And I'm like, what'd I do? They're like, you just misgendered the homie again. And I was like, what? Yo, that's the homie. They don't even care. And my friend looked at me like, what are you doing right now? And I was like, look, I met them as so-and-so. To me, they still got a beard and blah, blah, blah. And my friends looked at me like, yo, you're not an asshole, but you really sound like one right now. And I remember being like, wait, why am I pushing back? I call people MC Moose Knuckle or like whatever. Like I respect people's like rap names that are ridiculous.
Right.
I've done all types of respecting. I can respect someone's pronoun. But it took the homie, like not physically yoking me up, but putting me in the corner and being like, yo. And so I think I've had the mix of people that would look at me and be like, no, Chris, you were right. Tell your homie that you, and I had other people that are like, stop listening to your dumb friends.
Right.
Me as the homie, I have a life experience you should respect. And them having the love to talk with me about it, you know.
So you made yourself the type of person who your friend could talk to and that you're the type of person who can listen and grow and expand, right? Is that...
Like 27, 28, finally.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I think I was always open, but I still wanted to fit in. I still was like a rap dude. I still was like a man at Morehouse. You know, I still was from DC and I, you know, sorting out like my blackness. And people want to get at me because, like now my vocabulary is atrophied and I speak way more as people I work with and I haven't been in school in 20 years. But there's a time in my life where I was battling the whole like, oh, y'all think I talk white, so I got to say the N-word 30 times so y'all don't harass me about it. Now I never say the N-word and I don't think it has anything to do with my blackness. I'm gonna be black. So you can't. The vitiligo can't take it away. Like it's me. Like
it's facts, man. Facts.
But it took a long time for me to be able to listen. Like listen. My mom, she made sure when I was young, respect women. She made sure don't ever think men or women are better than each other. It's humanity. We all need each other, and we're all important.
Yes.
But it still took in real life. Me, you know, recognizing there may be some things I'm doing where I treat men differently than women, and I
to notice that, to have that awareness, you know what I'm saying, and not to, because I think a lot of us, this is the shadow, right? Carl Jung in the shadow, like we go through things, we experience, we behave, we don't properly assess how we show up in the world. Sometimes I think, and so there's work to do that. Tell me about mindfulness. I saw you did a mindfulness gathering in the park on what, just Sunday, a couple days ago,
yesterday.
Somebody posted on your Facebook, man. They were like talking about it like as though it was life-changing stuff, man. And it was really powerful and very emotional for them. So tell me about that.
Hip hop for me was the mindfulness. Like it was my outlet and catharsis. Once hip hop started becoming how I make money or exist as a persona, where is my outlet? The thing that was my safety secret garden is now public for everyone. Everyone who I engage with, I've now given a right to an opinion about it. I work with enough people where they're justified in being like, yo, if I'm gonna spend time writing with you or I'm gonna give you a beat, you should listen to my opinion on how these things should work. Then where's my outlet for stress? And so my homie presented me with the mindfulness thing, especially for hip hop artists. I was like, this is interesting. Because the people who are like energy healers and do yoga and back massages, they end up with arthritis. Who's there to help them? With us as MCs, we in a certain way are like cultural cleansers, buffers. We take in a lot of the toxins and hold it for people and try to help put out the goodness.
Right.
What do we do with all that? And a number of artists I know have had challenges if you consider like mental health experiences and traumatic life experiences. And the music's kind of the outlet, but there's still more they don't get to explore. And I like that my friend Dave was very conscious of the historical I think, whiteness and whitewashing of certain practices that have been happening in Aboriginal and Native societies for tens of thousands of years, but that it's not always offered to us. Take a moment, just breathe, feel your feet on the ground. And it's not some frou-frou yoga like namaste, but like no, like namaste, like there is God energy in each one of us. Do we take the time to see it in ourselves and in our compatriots? And so it's just timing where we're able to do it, like 4 or 5 of us from different backgrounds. I think half of us all planned not to do it, but then ended up staying. And for me, I just was smiling afterwards. One of the other homies, I think, had to take a moment because it was bringing up strong emotion. One of the first mindfulness practices I was involved with up here, it was one where my friend's mom was leading it. I participated because we hosted it, but I was sitting there like, bro, I don't be doing this. Yo, music's my thing. All these, my feelings and emotions. And
Right.
I already do that all day. At the end of it, it was like, everyone partner up. We're going to do one last exercise. And everyone had partners, but they were told to bring partners. I was like, well, I don't got nobody. Cool, I'll sit this one out. She was like, no, you'll be my partner. It's my friend's mom. I shouldn't say older now because I'm almost 50-something, but like 50-something-year-old white woman from North Carolina. And I'm like, we don't got nothing in common. Whatever, but let's do this. And she starts talking about, in a guided meditation form, remembering being held by your mother and remembering comfort and the safety and the warmth. And I started out thinking about that and then being like, damn, I don't have nobody take care of me like that now. Then I started thinking, wait, I'm kind of making up a fake image. My mom wasn't that type of mom. She held me. And if I cried, she was like no, I got you, you safe. But then she was like, how do we fix the problem? She's a doer. She's not we gonna sit here for 2 hours holding.
Right.
We're gonna sit here for about 5 minutes and we about to go solve the problem.
Right.
Then I started crying all in this white lady's arms, dog, and it's everyone who I had known forever long who's in there, and I'm like, I'm embarrassed. But I'm like, I don't give a fuck, I'm embarrassed. And I'm crying, I'm snotting everywhere, and the lady's holding me like, yo, you good? This was supposed to happen. And other people laughed during the whole thing because they had a different experience. Another person was like like having like hyperventilating. And that experience for me was transformative in its own way. And so finding the authentic people to do it is for me. And so I don't play around with the mindfulness stuff. I don't play around with energy and light work. And so we found somebody I can trust. I've known Dave for 14 years. He came and do it in an authentic way. He was going through some life experiences where it was real for him. When we talked about the diversity issues, he was like, let me call my professor. Let's talk more. He wasn't trying to tell me what it is or discount anything. Even yesterday, leading his meditation, my friend kind of gave him some input. He was so happy. Like, he was like, thank you for telling me how you really feel about this. Like, what can I do? Like, let me be,
I love that, man. I love that story. I love what happened yesterday and your other experience, man. And I love how you told it, because for us to understand, like, you started off pretending like, or acting like it was always too goofy, this, for this, but you opened yourself. You became vulnerable. You became open to the magic of the experience. Like, I want to quickly get into maybe some questions of faith, because in my all adult life, man, I was a atheist, man. Very logical atheist. I really loved Christopher Hitchens and other like atheists who knew how to slap down some of the weird myths, the mythical stuff, the hatreds that the religions tend to do. And where I am now is a different kind of place. I don't have a religion, but I do think that this experience is a powerful thing that escapes words. And the capacity to sit and come to a place of stillness and peace with yourself, where you're not Billy, you're not Christoph or Christopher, you're not black man, you're not whatever, all the labels, all the things. And that is a kind of communion with the divine. What do you think?
More so than ever, I believe there's more going on than humans will ever understand. I appreciate the different methods by which people have attempted to understand it. So I studied religion in grad school and was interested in Christianity, like the monotheistic religions, as well as in some of the other philosophies that are more animistic or totemistic or nature-based or historical, where you don't even have organized religion, but kind of faiths amongst different cultures. But that to me was academic. Like I was learning it and it sounded interesting, and it was like, wow, people found guidance through this, or they found inspiration through this, or maybe they were experiencing these miracles. But it wasn't here. It was more like that's interesting. Like I like the story of Loki, and I like the story of Quetzalcoatl, and I like this. But when I went through my experience with health stuff, I became very aware that there's more going on, and
Yeah.
there's a power, I think, to letting it, and whether it's through religion or spirituality or through meditation or through universal understanding, I came out of that experience wanting to recognize the God experience, energy, expression more purposefully. I think prior I always felt it. I was always in that like, yeah, yo, the universe, I'm in a universal way. I definitely was in the idea like, yo, their winds guided me and I'm supposed to just make sure I do my wings right so it carries me. I can't force it. But there's more of a personal thing that happened in the past 3 or 4 years where I'll get up and literally, whether it's to the sky, the sun, whatever notion of God, and just be like, this is special, yo. Like, this is something that I've been given for the day. And I have a responsibility with that gift. And I don't know my life purpose, but I know one of the things is to do my best to make life better for other people. And that's not directed by human force. That's not directed by any monetary situation. That's directed by, there are different ways I could have been taken off the planet already. And through very, if you were to look at the statistics, very unlikely occurrences have happened so that I'm still here. And so it is not playtime. It is not for me to direct.
I love that. Hell yeah, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the whole this, you know. But I grew up in the church. I grew up. My mom and my neighbor would take me to a Christian church. My stepdad was a Nation of Islam adherent, so I would go to the mosque occasionally. Or, in either case, man, you know, the child experience was one of, if I'm honest, was a lot of performance for me. It was a lot of like, what are the parents doing? Okay, I got to do the Sunday school thing. Okay, fine, I'll do that shit. All right, I got to do the prayer. Oh, the pastor wants me to come up in the front, and he's gonna snuff all the kids, and we got to all do a thing. Okay, and at each point, real talk, I was trying to figure it out. Like I wanted the experience, you know, but I ended up performing, and I want to say, like, I want to have grace for myself, the young version of myself. Like that's what I had, you know, but to be present, like you're saying, and to recognize this like crazy gift we have, you know.
It's funny though, when I think about it, music for me, or the gatherings reminded me of church in a certain way. And I never want to be like music was my church, because we were doing things in these venues that you don't do at church. And I was oriented to some things that were very earthly and flesh-like. So I don't want to, but that numinous experience where you have that ecstatic moment of unified experience, people laugh, cry, sweat, fall out on the ground, speak in tongues, basically, and lose yourself in that actual connectivity, that is part of God to me. And so before I had this more personal understanding of it, I think I knew part of why I was attracted to music is that it could inspire those feelings. It could inspire the same type of jubilee that I saw in church, but with a bunch of strangers, you know, in a dark room at 2 a.m, but to where you see through all that. It don't matter. Again, purple hair, blue hair, tall, short, black, white, nah. We hugging and our eyes are closed and we jumping together.
Yeah.
And you know, so I think I knew that I could tap in. Like I felt like there was always a part of me being able to tap in, or like when I was younger, some of that empathy or some of that feeling for other people. I felt it was like something else being like, yo, they need you, you know, or like you need them, actually, now that I think about it. Like, and I didn't know how to access it. I didn't know how to deal with like, yo, all these other distractions and thoughts and feelings and intellect, and it hadn't been revealed in a certain way.
Here we go.
It's been revealed to me in a much different way about like, no. I made promises. and I got to keep them. And
Tell me that
that's
you
like
made
real for me.
promises.
Like, oh yeah, yeah. When I was, I think at different times in my life, I've told myself, I like, whether it was crying, whether it was just laying in the bed and being like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Whatever is out there, as God, you know my heart, you know my intention, you know how much I'm putting into this stuff. I'm gonna move out the way.
Hmm.
Help me though. And I don't mean show me, but help me move myself out the way. Not like help me get through it. Like I kind of stopped to like, universe does not provide like that for me.
Right.
Universe provides by reminding me when to get the hell out my own way, and to sometimes just chill, just chill.
Yeah.
And
I've been trying to explain it where like you can't calculate it. You know, the infinite of what's going on is too crazy, and you know something, you might be real smart, you might be real clever, you might have read a couple of things, you might have been through a couple of things, but again, back to that humility of it. You plan and you aim and then you shoot, you go, you act, get in the dirt, you know, engage, you know, deal with people, because there are things you haven't foreseen and you can't foresee, and the longer you spend time planning, that's more time away from what is, and what is like brilliant, and what is powerful. What is you gotta love what is in order to shed the assumptions and to go deeper.
and I, it's hard to explain, and I don't want to dampen like mood or whatever, but like there's a point where I was in Sloan Kettering and I'm looking at, like an 8-year-old girl that got cancer, and you start thinking to yourself like, damn dog, like what do her parents think, what does she think? Then another time I'm there and I see an 8-year-old girl with her 40-something-year-old parent that has cancer, and I'm like, damn dog, because people are like, well, it's unfair, and I'm like, which one, who's getting unfair treatment? It's the older person who's going to lose their kid, or when it's this kid who's going to lose their parent? And then I started seeing the love in the eyes of these people as they're going through this, and the fight and the commitment to each other and the family. And it's like I was looking for the wrong part of it. And like in the struggle, and in the times where everything falls apart is when you see the beauty of humanity in a way that we often aren't shown.
Right.
And I got shown that for I was on treatment for 13 months. So once a month I'm in that center, I'm going in for CAT scans, MRIs, I'm going to conferences. So I constantly get shown people that eyeballs removed, part of their brain taken out, but they get up every day and they like, you know what, I'm winning. I already won the game just by waking up. I won. Every blessing I asked for has been granted. And that changes the whole it's like, hold on, dog.
Bro. Yes, exactly. And then you see the flip side. You see, and this is no judgment on anyone, but you see how like some people we have everything. I tell a story about how I'm so lucky. I've been in good health for so much of my life, and so many of the things I've attempted as an athlete and artist. Sometimes you get caught complaining about something. You get caught wishing that you had something else, or you can't move forward because if only that other person. Sometimes phrases don't hit until until it's revealed to you. So this phrase of what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy. That's true, but I heard it as a kid. And you could say it and you could say it, but there's another thing to know what that means. To say you fail to be present. You fail to acknowledge the brilliance of the moment and of your the phenomena around you, the friends and family, the challenges, everything, and the opportunities that are present there, because you're comparing.
I mean, especially in this type of environment, I don't want to be reductive and be like, because capitalism. No. Like, not just capitalism, not just competitive, not just the idea of limited resources, but there's something in all the marketing and all the things that we're flooded with of saying, are you the best, whatever? Not just are you the best person you can be, because that's already its own stress, but are you like a better
right.
than you can be compared to all these other people that you've never even met, and we don't know if it's real or not.
Right.
And it's so hard. But you said the line, the thing that you said that sticks out to me. That's I need to remind myself of. And there are two movies. I try not to use movies as an example for life because again, movie. But what you said is like we already had everything. And in that movie, Don't Look Up, when they finally realized the meeting, and they're all at dinner, and then they're like, we had everything. As they looked at each other, and it's like every time I go outside, we talking about skin color. We got everything we need. We worried about the planet. But there were times in my life where I spent 8 hours a day working someone else's dream, directing my intellectual and creative energy towards another. But what if we actually said, yo, we want to make a lovely environment for us and our kids?
What if you did it?
We got what we need.
You can do it. We've never been so blessed. We stand on the shoulders of giants who've gone through so much. We have technologies that allow me to do this. First off, that allow me to even know and us to know that we exist because we haven't met in real life. Then to get on here and to share this kind of these insights, I'm so grateful for it, yo. Tell me real quick, man. You have a Facebook message on here that I want to read real quick. Just one question, this message, and then I'll let you say anything else you want to say, and we can wrap up because I got you for an hour, and I appreciate your time. On Facebook, you say, young people aren't trying to make the music we made. They aren't doing it wrong. We are over 40. Make what you love and do it as long as you love it. It's art, not a widget. What compelled you to write that?
I work with young people, and a bunch of the teenagers I was working with were into Chef G, and they're into the Brooklyn drill, or they're into the Bronx drill, or they're into what have you. And I'm not a fan of how non-Black people make money off of our trauma, our death, our pain, and that's a different discussion. But I recognize that young people will learn from the adults and what the world and environment gave them. If we messed up and didn't provide a better environment for these young people, it's on us to understand why they're doing what they're doing and to work with them as they grow.
Talk to them, bro. Talk to them, Chris. Yeah.
And I don't like it. Now, I hope I don't let it ride. When the kids in my class, they came in and they're like, oh, you got the recording equipment? We about to be smoking on our ops. And I was like, we're not smoking on no ops. And they're like, what you talking about? It's drill. We this. I was like, we're not. And we started talking. One was like, yo, my life, my story, it hasn't been so good, this and that. And I was like, well, then tell all the story. What makes it personal to you? Don't just say what the other rappers said. Don't let me. So when I hear you, I know it was you and your specific life experience.
Yes.
And then we kept talking. And I said something about my friend who got robbed and murdered in the last year. And the kid was like, what, your homie? And he thought I was saying it or something. He was like, you don't know nobody. I was like, I'm not going to talk about this right now. And he was like, yeah, all right. But at the end of class, everyone left. I was like, yo, come here, I'll tell you. And I was like, yo, the dude I know, homies kicked in the door, this happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me, he's like, yo, I don't like hearing stories like that, yo, it makes me so sad. And I was like, yeah, but when I hear y'all's music, it makes me sad how you feel now. And so we talked through it. And I learned a lot about him. Hopefully he learned about me. And I didn't have to diss his approach to music. I didn't have to tell him he's wrong. But we got to share like what the music's really about, which is that interpersonal connectivity and that exchange of culture, that griot tradition. And so young people are supposed to say a few adults. They're supposed to break the mold, make their own things. And old people are supposed to talk trash, and they're supposed to tell us we don't know what we're talking about. And there's supposed to be a couple of us that are like, I may not even like it, but I see that this will turn into something else in the future. So I need to be involved. I need to make sure that the culture has the generational engagement and that we learn, that the young people teach me. Hopefully I can exchange some info with them, but they're not doing it wrong. They're not trying to, like, I started rapping in 95, 96. When I was listening to rap, Houdini was on the radio and there was no rap station. So like we're not doing the same thing at all.
It's completely different. One of the things I like everything you said there in particular, as someone who just like you, man, I see the manipulation, when I have a critique of cable news media and the images they put out, the very purposeful images they put out for profit, the conflict that they exploit in order to make money, even the pain and the hurt in the Black community. I see that in news, I see that in music, and I'm attuned to that. I'm anxious and nervous about that condition, that this exists, and as it does. And at the same time, I have to recognize that the kids are doing an evolved version of what we were doing, and the older stuff that we listened to was it set the foundation for this stuff, and the infrastructure in the music industry and all that. That's like we didn't. I say we. I'm not in the music industry, but we didn't set it up. We didn't. We abdicated the cultural. We abdicated the culture to these execs, and
See,
and
now that's where we have a whole nother conversation of there's no other culture in America where they are not the owners of their image, and the image being presented is so negative, and the people who are presenting it make so much money writing tropes that are historical. And so, to me, it's so blatantly racist. It should be illegal for a Def Jam to be run by the people it's run by and to put out the content they put out, especially when you actually have these young people dying. If they weren't going to jail, if they weren't getting killed, if they weren't getting robbed, if they weren't influencing young people in Brooklyn to do the same things, then we talk about entertainment. Like Al Pacino didn't really inspire young kids in Milwaukee to be Scarface. But this rap stuff, we shape culture. When they see what we do,
absolutely, and it was buy-in from black people, from black artists who bought into the
and it
thing.
looks like it. It's so to me. I'm not going to go too deep on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I grew up in a black city. Like DC had mad black people. I still didn't know what it meant to be black outside of DC. So when people showed me stuff, I could have been like, "Oh, we're not doing it right. All around the country, they actually do this. So DC's the minority. Let me be black like they are in Chicago and LA."
Yeah,
But that's not what they do in LA. That's not what
right.
they do in Chicago. The record label is pumping.
Exactly.
You know,
A very
and
specific thing, but there's a whole the blackness and black masculinity is broad and vast and deep, and it's everything. It's everywhere, and
but I
to
can't.
mm,
I can't blame the young people. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was affected. Like if you saw a picture of me in 1998, you'd be like, "What's up with your Timbs and your pants is real heavy and is that an Averex and why you got ski goggles on in the club in
that's
DC?"
me. Except
You
I couldn't
know,
afford an Averex, but yeah, that's me.
that was my friend's Averex.
Oh, no,
Uh,
you're 5 years older than me, so you know what I'm saying. There's a different but
yeah, I didn't understand $450 coats at the time. We was at Burlington Coat Factory, how that
yes,
was.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I really appreciate this conversation, bro. Again, glad you got on. I love and respect what you're doing and the ideas you're pushing out, the conversations you're starting, the black land ownership, all these projects, your efforts, your art. And the things you stand up for, man. The things you get pissed off sometimes about. I was just like liking through shit like this motherfucker is spitting. So I just want you to keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. If I can just make a request, maybe I implore the people who see this. I know a career is important. I know being responsible. All these things people tell you very important. Make sure you can retire and have money or something. Please, please, if you can, find something you love doing and do it. And if you don't have that yet, please don't do stuff you don't believe in. If you don't really like working with kids, don't. It's not just selling auto parts. Like, if you don't like working with people who are unhoused, don't work for that not for profit. If you don't like people saying crazy stuff on the records, then stop producing for them. And I know it seems hard, but I fully believe if we concentrate our love energy and really follow our hearts, really follow our inclinations, we'll figure out a way to live and we'll take care of each other a little bit better. And I'm excited to see coming out of pandemic how well we can take care of each other because we need it.
My man, Chris, appreciate it, man. Listen,
Yeah, I
let's
appreciate you.
big time. Thanks for doing this, yo. Let's keep in touch, and if you're in B-more, let me know, okay?
Yes, I will be down there and I'll be in DC in July, so I'll figure out a way to see you at some point soon.
Perfect. We'll do that, man. Thanks, man. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
Peace. Thank you.
Peace. Oh, what up, yo? That was Christoph, Carr. That was a great combo. Good, smart, active dude. I appreciate that. And that's the episode. Let's see. Next week, I think I don't know what I'm gonna do next week. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm gonna work on that, but I do have some interviews coming up. If not next week, the week after. Some really cool people. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching this. Check out on Thursdays. Thursday at 3, she was gonna be doing another Black Bunny Hole. Last week was Marsha P. Johnson, and she crushed it. And we're gonna do some new formats. Like I said, there's a new show we're doing. I'm not even gonna tell you the name of that. That's coming up. That's gonna be Sheem and I are doing it. It'll be like the new revamped, improved version of Saturday morning cartoons. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna get into some gaming too. Oh yeah, I'm gonna play some Overwatch. I'll let you know about that when that drops and when I'm ready for that. So that's it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave you with some music, yo. Okay? You ready? No, not that song. This song. Peace, y'all. Have a good one.
Yo, it's been crazy to realize that life is this incredible story, a journey that's unfolding for us, from us. The life experience isn't just out there, it's also inside of us. It's our perception, our beliefs, our language, our traumas, our prior assumptions. Sometimes you need the benefit of time, some distance. You can look back and see, everything happened just as it needed to for this moment. Listen, I've been grown, my step pops move just like the wind blows. I chin stroke and reminisce on days when life was simple. Me, always had a pen stroke, fresh like Mentos. At 9, I wrote complex lines and colored pencils. By 16, the game was mental. The stuff I've been through, I had to learn to break shit down and reassemble. The cops judge me by my skin tone. Me and my kinfolk, we been broke. These checks too slow for how the rent grow. Look, sidewalk chalk, I trace it in black. Shit strange how the brain can relapse to anger in fact. But hey, everybody chasing a stack. Sitting at the table telling fables with a plate full of scraps. You had the mic, now we taking it back. Mirror to the face, facing it flat. Can you face it or not? They stole your whole shit straight from the apps. Don't at me, I'm just stating the facts. And all these words I spit, I'm a wordsmith. Perfect verses, heard way worse than curse words did. Get the hearses, how they gon' hang truth from purse strings? The nerve of these clowns and cursed earthlings. Check the grace they got for racists and bots. Content clowns chasing the guap. They daily research on the wire. Be copy and pasted a lot. Wait, my basic cable is basically ops. Breaking news. I try to count my blessings, though these people are vexing. Notice pain is a testing. Choose to press in, I'm etched in. Stuff of exploded stars caressing. Who got bars like Billy B. Blessing? Answer the question. But let me say less, I don't flaunt predator apex. I make moves, y'all stunt for placements. Life stage is amazing by God's graces. Not a thug, but definitely goon adjacent. I foul flagrant, chef it up with no apron. But y'all ego talk too much and not patient. Look, not for Nathan, stay true and stop faking. That's why the broads turned off and not naked. I'm complex, never complacent. My steps constant, accomplishments and roads taken. So I'ma live this one life my way. Big moves, my head might skyscrape. Migraine, I stack bread like sideways. They pay a lot to talk in sly ways. Now I keep the fam fed off rhyme play. Who the type to set it off in 9 ways? Billy, the most creative. Broads turned off and not naked. I'm complex, never complacent. My steps constant, accomplishments and roads taken. So I'ma live this one life my way. Big moves, my head might skyscrape. Migraine, I stack bread like sideways. They pay a lot to talk in sly ways. Now I keep the fam fed off rhyme play. Who the type to set